What is up, everybody? This is Anthony with VR 365. What is going on? Today is Saturday. It is August 24th, and right now here in California, it is about 12:26 p.m. Now, normally we start at noon, but I was trying to give F Reality, because I know a lot of our viewers, they watch F Reality, and then after F Reality is over, they hop over here and they watch our stuff. And then when we're over, they hop over to MRTV, or, everybody's bouncing around, right? And so I was trying to delay a little bit, but we got a lot to get into, folks. We got a great episode, a great interview, I believe, that's going to happen today. I have Gamertag VR live in the building. GT, what is going on?
How's it going, everyone? Hello, Anthony. How's it going, man? Thank you for inviting me. Cheers.
Absolutely. Glad to have you in the house. And so you might be wondering, how did I get on this show? Well, you know what? No, it's funny because when
I was wondering.
when someone shows up on F Reality and they're talking and it's oh, this guy's pretty good in front of a microphone. Maybe I should grab this guy and get him on my show. And I think that's going to happen in this VR thing. Guests are going to bounce from show to show to show. It's almost like you're doing the, you're doing the circuit. You're on Jimmy Fallon one night and you're going to be on Conan O'Brien the next night,
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, crazy. Thank you for having me on, man. It's incredible. When you offered me, I was like, that's crazy. So yeah, thank you. I'm a big fan of your show, and yeah, thank you.
Oh, no problem. I'm glad to have you on. I'm always looking for, interesting guests with different angles, different thoughts about things. And this week, this interview, everything worked out beautifully because you just got back from Germany, right, man? I mean, Gamescom, how incredible is this? Is this your first time ever going to that?
It was my first time, and I want to say, how can I put it? I wouldn't say it's overwhelming. It was surprising because the thing you always hear about is E3. Ever since I was a kid, E3, and when I went over there, I'm pretty sure when I was speaking to the Beat Saber girls, they were saying something like E3 is as a capacity of something like 150,000, maybe, or something, and Gamescom is 400, something like that. I'm sure the number was definitely a lot more, and yeah, it is huge. I didn't get to see everything. I was there for 3 days, and there was still some VR offerings just tucked away there that I missed. But there was a lot of VR, and it got a lot of attention, and it was great. It was really good.
What about just the crowds in general, though? Because was it almost overwhelming, in terms of the mass of people? Did you have to constantly going through the crowds, trying to squeeze in and not try to bump into too many people?
So we're quite lucky. On Tuesday, because I was a part of the press, we got there on Monday. I travelled up with Mike, the VR Oasis. We went together, and our train was delayed. It was a crazy day, so we didn't get to drop off any of our luggage. We had to I had to carry all mine around with me. So Monday was quite empty. Tuesday was press day, so that was lovely. All your slots, all your bookings, it all worked out pretty well. And then. But yeah, Wednesday, dude, that was insane. Especially around the Xbox and PlayStation areas. It is, as you'd imagine, it is very, very busy.
Have you ever been to Germany? Is this your first time in Germany, or?
Yeah, yeah, a lot of sausages. There's a lot of sausages in Germany.
Did you get a chance? I'm guessing you didn't get much of a chance to go see any sights or anything. You probably just had to just do this and that was the whole deal, right?
Yeah, pretty much. There was this big cathedral that was so intimidating. It was massive, man, crazy sight. But apart from that, no, it was the train and McDonald's. That was pretty much that's pretty much all the sightseeing. So yeah.
So the train. Where did you take this train from, and where did it, a train all the way? You got to mainland Europe and you're taking a long ass train that goes all the way to Germany, or how does all that work?
There's a swap over at Brussels, but yeah, basically I went from where I live to London St Pancras. Me and Mike stayed the night there, so we got an early start the next day, and then got the Eurostar to Brussels, and then swapped from Brussels to Germany. So yeah.
Wow. And all the money. What about like all the money it costs to do all of this? Was that a
Yeah.
concern for you, or just like you feel like it's part of the gig, or?
It is part of the gig. I'm quite lucky. I've got some patrons, because I've been doing this quite a while, and people were trying to donate bits and bobs, and patrons seem to be probably the easiest way and the least rip-off way for them. Like, if people donate in super chat and stuff, or they're members of channels, not much. You don't. Not necessarily I get much of the money, but YouTube get quite a significant amount of the money. So I was letting them know that they can do it differently. So yeah, basically, the Patreon thing, I don't touch it, and I managed to use that to pay a lot towards some of the ticket and getting over there. And yeah, so obviously I wrote them a message and said thank you ever so much. I think I might have done a thank you video, I can't remember, but yeah, like, without them and without like the backing of my wife and stuff, it probably wouldn't have happened. It's weird when you get an invite over there, because what it was, Andreas Juliusson from Fast Travel Games, he put together something which has never been done before called the VR Showcase booth. And what he done, he got, I'll try and do it off the top of my head, but he basically had in one area had Fast Travel, Servios, Neat Corporation, Vertigo Games were there as well, because they invited us all to like a Nordic party as well, so we was all there together. And there was some others as well. I'm trying to think. Oh, there was the Carbon Studios, the Wizard guys. So yeah, him and Perp Games had built this booth and get everyone together. So everyone could come in and just go, oh, this is the VR place, and bam, 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 all these games were in the same place. It was fantastic. It was very well done. Very well done.
Yeah, so why don't we just go ahead and get into some Gamescom talk real quick here, and then later we can get into like your origin story and what were you doing like way before VR and all of that. But in terms of Gamescom, like me watching this completely from the sidelines, I honestly, because you got to play some great stuff and you got to see some cool stuff, and I know it was exciting and everything, but having said all of that, we didn't really have a lot of announcements. Like the game, like you played certain things, but these things were already known. They were already out there. What was unknown? Did we find out about, I know there was a game called Down the Rabbit Hole, I believe, by Cortopia. But even that, actually, we heard about that on E3. We just hadn't seen it, but we heard of the name of it. So was there anything undiscovered there at all?
Well, not as in terms of new games. I think the only thing I can tell you, I've never done this before. It's something called location-based VR, LBVR, and Vertigo Games were doing that. Have you heard of that at all before?
Well, I mean, there's like location-based entertainment, which is like LBE, which is like the Void. That's the Void, and like VR arcades, like not just a VR arcade, but if somebody has a VR arcade where they're doing like all kinds of things, like where you're like physically doing things where it's not just little arcade booths, that's like all considered location-based entertainment, where like you go to a specific location because of that.
Yeah. So this, I'll put my coffee down now. So this was like I can't remember how big it was. It was a big area. It was like, it's over 6 meters in each way. And me and this other guy basically played Arizona Sunshine, the last DLC. I can't remember the name of the last DLC what come out. What was it? It was the one where you're in like the silo and the rocket's going to go off. And you don't use a joystick. You play the whole level, and it's like it's not procedurally generated, obviously, but it's like being in the holodeck of Star Trek with another player, and like you're pulling switches. He's going to different places. You get in a lift together, and watching yourselves play it from the outside, it looks insane. It feels like you've been tricked all the time. And yeah, that was really immersive. That was next level for me, because there was the only thing about VR is sometimes you can come out of it, and with this it was like you could be in there forever. Potentially they could generate something like T for God, for example, where you're just in there forever and you're with other people. And yeah, playing something like Arizona was really good. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, well, recently in the news, I'm gonna see if I can find the video for it, but Space Pirate Arena, right?
Yeah, that was amazing.
I don't
That looks
have it.
amazing.
Yeah. Well, but there's a lot of this stuff that's going on in the Oculus Quest world, right? Where people are making these different things where it can use a large area. I don't know if you've seen some of these like experimental videos of like different developers, and I could find a trailer here. I know I have one. It's like house scale or something. Let me just see if I can
Yeah.
grab it real. Yeah,
So there
house
was
scale.
there was Arizona. There was Oh, okay. I haven't seen this one myself. There was
So yeah.
Arizona, which was uh like that, and they also done another one from oh, I remember this. Yes, this is like Space Pirate. This is exactly what I would say is what I'm talking about, but this is mapped to the room, isn't it? Kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
This is
Well, they basically have a big area. So these guys, and the crazy thing about it is this thing that they're doing is not even going to be like something they're planning on bringing out. It's like they're just screwing around with it. But
yeah,
don't you like this is pretty incredible from a Quest, like people can have a bunch of quests and everything. Everybody always says, but yeah, nobody has enough room for this. But it's like Space Pirate Arena, they're saying, hey, go to an empty basketball court, an empty tennis court. And
yeah,
if it's like twilight and you have, so the sun isn't beaming down on you, but you got enough light where it can analyze and see your ground. Now, the problem with all of these kinds of things, though, is you need like some kind of laptop or something because it needs to have all four of the quests to be on like some kind of server or something. So
right,
that's the missing element. And I'm sure like that what you tried, the Arizona Sunshine, that's kind of like it's like an arcade thing. Like they really have that for arcades. Was it
yeah.
wireless Vives? Like
Yes, it
yeah.
was wireless fives. Yeah,
Okay. Was it
yeah.
weird like did you when you were looking around at it was there like lighthouses all over the damn place or I'm
Uh,
guessing it's
there,
the new lighthouses, right?
there was four, I think, four lighthouses, I believe, from memory. Yeah, definitely. And we also done another experience, which was from the developers Fisherman's Tale.
Uh-huh.
Don't know if you, yeah, that I absolutely, I think that game's incredible. It's really beautiful. So I went into it, and this was with one of the developers, and I was standing in front of a mirror, had some hats to try on, and then he popped out from the other side of the mirror, and I realised he was on the other side with his own mirror, and then I was on a ship, and the ship looked massive, and then I looked up, and he was, I don't know, 10 times bigger than me, and he was helping me do the puzzle. So in the end, actually, even though I felt big, as soon as I saw him, I realised I was actually on a miniature ship in a room on a table, and he was passing me items to help me do the puzzle. It was, oh man, it was.
That will just break my brain after a while. Like you don't even know what's going on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's insane, dude. It's so amazing. It's so exciting to be involved in virtual reality. So yeah,
What do you think though, like this concept, like space, like the Space Pirate Arena, when we heard about it, like I immediately thought, oh, this is just VR arcades. Like this is not for us, this is for VR arcades. But in the video that they had for it, it said empty tennis, it said basketball courts, tennis courts. And so when they're saying that, it sounds like they're making it for, it's not necessarily just for arcades, right?
yeah. So when that trailer went live, I spoke to Chris Haney from Space Pirate Arena developers. I can't remember. Oh, Illusions, that's it. And he sent me the press kit. So I'd done like a side by side version of the video you're talking about because I think the original one was like a vertical, a top and bottom, and I thought it'd be nice if someone could see it on a widescreen. Um, and it blew my mind. Like nothing for a while was excited me that much as when I saw that playing. But not only that, I mean, I said to him, I said the music's amazing as always. The Illusions, they always do amazing pumping music for their trailers and their games. So yeah, I can't wait to see where this all goes on. And I'm pretty sure Space Fighter Arena is going to be 4 players. I'm pretty sure he mentioned it's going to be 4 players.
Yeah, the cool thing about some of these, this is another one. I forget which this one is. It's the grid or something, and I think they're like you can see the people are like walking around and they're like behind things. But what's really cool about some of them is they actually know where the other player is. Like that
Yeah,
first one we saw, they put him in an entire spacesuit. and he's standing right there. I mean, this guy's climbing a pole and shit. But
That's crazy. Yeah, that's brilliant.
don't
That
you
is
think?
awesome.
I mean, this could be a pretty big game changer because in my audience of people, a lot of them are PC VR guys. And so they're all about, it's like PC VR, it's Valve Index, it's Rift S, it's like you're in your man cave, man. You're playing No Man's Sky. They don't want to hear nothing about no crappy Quest. But
Right.
here's the thing. Isn't this going to tempt some of those people? Because like this is immersion. This is extra immersion. Now you got to find somebody with a big ass warehouse, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, funny enough, like we were speaking about Origins and stuff and PSVR, so I think the Quest is incredible, and I still find it amazing that this is around already, and for that price. Whenever I use it and try it, I am like, dude, this is fantastic quality. The quality is fantastic. They can't be making any profit on those headsets, I'd imagine. Do you think they do, or?
Maybe on the bigger one, because they're doubling the memory, but it's like it's an extra.
Yeah.
They might be like barely making a few bucks off of that. But why don't we let's wait on the Quest thing for a second, because I definitely want to talk to you about Quest. Don't worry, I love Quest, so
Good.
I'm one of the people that love Quest. So we'll get into that. But why don't we go back to let's go back to Gamescom, and one of the biggest games that you've tried is Ironman VR. So I got your video playing right here. This is where you got to sample Ironman VR on PlayStation VR, which it's exclusive to PlayStation VR. So obviously you tried it on that.
Yeah.
We heard a lot of talk about this coming in to Gamescom. We saw that very first trailer, looked kind of sketchy, but then we heard a lot of hands-on impressions. People from like Upload VR and stuff, they got to try it and they're like, no, this thing is pretty incredible. You got to try it. And what I'm most interested in hearing your thoughts is somehow they're doing some kind of wizardry where they can kind of do almost 360 degree tracking. Like, how is that possible?
Yeah, so I didn't. How can I? When I was using the blasters, the hand blasters, there was a point where I become aware that I probably wasn't facing the camera anymore, and yet somehow one of my hands was still perfectly being tracked, and I even like had a bit of a glimpse. I was like, how am I doing this? Am I actually in the right place? And it was, yeah. One hand did the regular, but for some reason or somehow one hand still stayed tracked, which was quite impressive. I don't know how they did that. I can't explain it, to be honest. I don't know, but in general, this game for me was very impressive. And like you said, when I first saw that trailer, I remember just thinking, here we go, we've got a cash in on our hands. It's going to be on the rails. It's just people are going to buy it because of the name. But I think Camouflage, the developers, have actually, if the training or the opening scene is anything like the game, you've got a proper Iron Man VR game. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I'm seeing the footage here. I mean, I see a little bit of the footage on the screen there, and it looks like you're in the part where there's an ocean and there's like these like rock formations, that are kind of like in the ocean, and so you're kind of flying over the ocean. Like it's the part that we've seen in the trailer. Like we've seen this before.
Yeah.
So
you just saw that then, actually, the bit I was talking about.
Oh yeah. You're totally.
I did edit
turned
it
around
out,
there.
but yeah, I was turning right around. Yeah, it's funny you should bring that up.
I think
Yeah.
the way they achieve that is some type of algorithm, which is like when the controllers are in the camera view, it's obviously using the normal tracking. Then when you start to get occluded, I bet you what it's doing is it's probably using like the IMUs that are, just the regular IMUs, right? Where it's like the tilt, like that type of stuff. They're using that, and then they probably build like a skeletal model of the person that's playing, kind of based on where their heads and hands are and typically how your body, and it's just predictive, and it's just does a pretty good job of it, I guess.
Yeah, probably, man. And he did do a very good job of it. Yeah, I was really pleased. Considering when I've been to game shows before, these setups aren't usually ideal. The light's too bright, it's not set up. I don't know about you, but when I get my PSVR, before I do anything, I make sure the tracking's all right, get it all sorted. And yeah, countless people going in here checking this out. Yeah, it was good. It was impressive.
What do you think about the actual graphics in the headset? Like you're flying over this ocean, you're seeing these rock formations. Like, would you say they were impressive or just pretty solid, or what's your thoughts on that? Are graphic horrors going to kind of complain about this game, or you think it's pretty good in that aspect?
I think people who are graphically hungry and like swear by lone echo and things like that, that's not here. That is true. That things have got. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
It's not like flooring at all, but it is good, and it actually in the headset is better than what I expected. Because if anyone knows on the social screen, the resolution and things can look better on social screen than they can in the headset. And it's nice sometimes when you're looking at a game, you think this looks really good, and you put the headset on and you think actually this looks better because of virtuality, because it adds that depth. And yeah, I was impressed with it. I was saying like it's one of those things where I played it and I just forgot about the graphics. Sometimes games can look so bad that you can't get over them. You're like, God, I don't want to play this. This looks horrible, or it's blurry, or something like that. No, this was good. It was good.
So, like, of upcoming PlayStation VR games, would this be your most, and like of what we know, PSVR
Right.
games that we know are coming, is this your like most wanted PlayStation VR game, or is there anything else coming to PSVR that you're maybe even more excited for?
Oh, scratching my brain trying to think of a PlayStation VR exclusive game that's coming that I'm.
Yeah,
It's
there's not a lot of them that
no,
we
I would
know
say
of. That we know
this
of.
is the biggest exclusive for sure at the moment on their hands, and they're definitely putting a lot of money into it. Just as I said, by the quality and the gameplay. So yeah, I guess on PlayStation VR exclusively, this would be the next big game. Yeah, it
Yeah,
would
yeah.
be. Yeah,
Especially now that No Man's Sky is currently available, that was the big one, and
yeah,
so now
agreed.
this becomes the new big one. Um, so let me see. Let me go ahead and grab one of the other clips I have of you playing some stuff at Gamescom. So, well, let's go over to budget cuts. Let's talk about the budget cuts too for a second here. And so this, I have gameplay footage. This is you playing the game, but we don't have footage of you like moving around and stuff. But this was the game footage for you. Um, Before we start talking about budget cuts too, what about the original budget cuts? Did you play much of the original budget cuts?
I did. I
Or
think I,
okay.
I think I nearly completed it on a stream. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I really
And
enjoyed it. I thought it was really good.
because way back in the early days of VR, like you go back to 2016, like I remember when I got my HTC Vive, that's what I started off with, the Vive in 2016 in April. And Budget Cuts had that famous demo, that everybody always ranted and raved about that demo. And then we waited like 3 years or whatever, and finally the full game came out, and it's different. It was different than the demo. Like they changed a lot of it. I always felt like they, I don't know, like it never performed perfectly well for me. And then I felt like, oh, if only it was wireless, because like I have wires, and like when I was playing the original Budget Cuts, I found myself crawling on the ground quite a bit, and then you get tangled up in your wires. So I kind of felt like the actual Budget Cuts that we got didn't live up to the hype of what we thought it was going to be.
Right. Okay. Yeah. See, as I said, I went from PSVR to PC, and I'd heard of Budget Cuts, but I'd never played it. And I had no, what's the word?
Preconceived notion, basically. Yeah.
Exact. Yes, that word. Yeah. I just literally just took it for what it was. And I was like, man, I can throw scissors at things in their eyes. This is great. And I really enjoyed the idea of being able to throw the teleport bubble ahead and check the area to see if it was safe before going into it. I liked that because first of all, I was like, oh man, it's teleport, but it becomes a not a hindrance. It becomes something you need to do, and it helps you with the gameplay. So yeah, man. And I loved Budget Cuts too because it was out in the open. I always felt like the first one, which probably goes with the story, really. You was just indoors all the time, so it was really nice to be able to go out. You had the helicopter. This bow's fantastic. You actually feel, a bit of a badass playing this game.
Yeah. when you were playing it there, were there any fast travel guys that were right there as well, or was it all like I don't know how many people are in Neat Corporation? You know, it was mainly just a couple of dudes, right? I think, or like a couple dudes and one lady that is pretty
That's
much the founders of like Neat Corporation.
That's exactly who were there. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was just two guys and a lady, and yeah, they were there watching me, and I struggled with this game, not because of the game, because it's the first time I ever used the Vive wands.
Oh, okay,
So
yeah.
yeah, so talking about VR, man, like I've got the Oculus Rift, I've got the PSVR and the Quest. So they were all the headsets I tried. That was it. So going here, I tried the Rift S, I tried the Valve Index, I tried the Vive Pro, and yeah, it was I really struggled with them controllers because it felt like I was holding two TV remotes.
Yeah. It's
and
weird. It's weird.
yeah, it was weird. The tracking was fantastic. It was nothing to do with that. It was just the buttons weren't where I thought they would be, and then yeah, that was it. And it was taking me time to adjust. This video I think is about 10 minutes, and I was easily doing this demo for about 20, just struggling with controls basically.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah.
So after playing this little demo, though, what's your hype level for this game? Is this a game that you're hyped for, or you're kind of like, when it comes out, I'll probably check it out, or
No, I love budget cuts. I think it's really good, and it's what's my hype level for it? Pretty much as it was before. I was quite confident that the second one would be superb. There's something Portal-ish about this, Half-Life-ish about it for some reason. I get this vibe from it. Half-Life's quite special to me. It's the reason I bought Half-Life 2. I actually bought a PC for that game years ago, and it always gives me that vibe, this game. I can't explain why. The first one did, and this one especially for some reason. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
did they give you? I don't know if you talked to any of the people like before or after. Did they give you any kind of an idea, like any kind of inside information? I think this is like a fourth quarter game. The last time I heard, but I don't know if we know anything different about it.
Sorry, you cut out for a split second
Oh,
there.
is this like a? I believe it's fourth quarter, like later this year. It's supposed to
Oh,
come out. Did they say anything at all to you about any of that?
no, I've kind of learned that they don't like it if you ask for release dates.
Yeah.
I do question them, but while there's recordings going on and stuff, and for some reason, a lot of the recordings, or a couple of recordings didn't work. I've definitely got to get my setup better for next year. Um, yeah, you know, if they're when you're at a show, if they want you to know the release date, you'll know. They're like, here's the release date, here's the press kit, here's a bag, here's this stuff, here's some stickers, here's it. But if there's none of that, that usually means they don't know the release
Yeah,
date. So,
they mostly don't know. Like if we
yeah,
think about VR, games come in so freaking hot when it comes to
yeah.
VR, right? They don't know until the last minute practically. We don't get advanced release dates very rarely.
Mm.
Okay, let's go ahead and grab the next one that I have for you here as just some different Gamescom stuff you tried out.
I wish I would have
Okay.
done more videos now because if he's going to talk about them, I
Oh
haven't had
yeah.
time to do them all. It's a shame.
Well, no, you did quite a bit, man. I got four different ones. This one is The Wizard's Dark Times. And so this is kind of cool that you actually got to try this game because I don't think we ever had any footage of this game or maybe just some like screenshots and stuff. So this is kind of a new thing. Like I think this is like a next year thing, right? 2020 maybe?
Yeah, it's and as far as I know, they're going for like Rift or PCVR and Quest release, and the PSVR is going to be a bit like the first one, really, a few months down the line. So they're focusing on the PCVR and Quest side of things.
Yeah, so the footage looks really good. How did you get this? Like, did they record it somehow internally and they gave you like the MP4 of it? Because you have your video of you playing it. You have video of you playing it, but you also have like the actual footage. Like, how did
Yeah,
this work at Gamescom? Like, oh, just like a thumbstick or something?
they just give
Oh,
yeah every time you go and see one, they just give you a thumbstick at the end of it if they're recording. Obviously, like after the fall. I was actually it was only because of Mike mentioned it when he done his video. Did I realise I thought I'd lost my after the fall footage because I had a disaster coming off the train where a can of Red Bull burst in my bag, and I was
oh
like,
shit.
no, all my USBs. They were all right though, but I kept thinking maybe I dropped it. But he said they didn't give us any footage, so that was fine. But yeah, that's what they do. A lot of them have their own recording stuff there on a laptop. And yeah, I mean, these are chunky laptops though. I wouldn't. They're a laptop, but dude, they're not something you want on your lap. They're
Yeah.
big books. You know what I'm saying? They're big.
So they would just give you a USB thumbstick? Like, what do they have? Like a big bag of them, and they just, or was it your thumbstick that you gave to them and said, "Hey, put footage on this," or they just give you a thumbstick?
Yeah, they just give everyone thumbsticks.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I guess it's a good idea. Like that, people should do this, right? Like it's a pretty good idea for streamers and people, people that are on YouTube to give you the footage there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's nice, man. Yeah, I think I come back with about 6 or 7. There's somewhere around here. But yeah,
Yeah.
I've used 3 of them. I know that the Citadel, Dark Citadel, he emailed me all that footage. See, I've got another 3 or 4 games to do yet.
Okay, so the Wizards Dark Times. What do you think about the Wizards just regular, the Wizards game that we have already? Are you a fan of that one? Did you play it on PSVR or Quest or all of them?
I played it on the Quest. I didn't
Okay.
play it on PC, but I did play it on the Quest, and I played it on PSVR first. I'm a big fan of it. I really enjoyed it, but funny enough, the negatives they told me were the same negatives I had about the game. It was kind of like you walked through a nice part of the game just to get to a wave shooter part, and then you done that again. You go through what would seemingly be a part of a story, a little bit of a sequence, maybe a puzzle, and then wave shooter again. And they said that was one of the things I definitely picked up on. Was that this game's going to be more story based. They want they want you to be able to like use the magic to do environmental stuff. For example, I think if you make someone frozen in ice, and then you melt the ice, it makes them wet, and then you can use electricity to cause more damage. They're doing stuff like that, and it was gorgeous. Like it was really, really pretty. I think in the video you'll hear me keep saying like, guys, this is incredible for such an early build. Like you're saying, if it's 2020, it looks fantastic.
Yeah, no, the footage, I'm looking at this, it looks drop dead gorgeous. It really
Mm,
does. And when
yeah.
I remember, I played the Wizards on PlayStation VR. That's where I really played it. I think I played a demo a long time ago that was on like Rift or something, but I played it on PlayStation VR. And I thought they got the graphics pretty good on PlayStation VR. But the one downside that I thought about it is like you're going through it and it's almost like, here's a mountain and here's a tree and then there's the sky. And it kind of all seemed like, okay, let's take a sky image, boop, put it here. Let's take a mountain image, put it here. Let's take a tree, boop. And it's like everything is kind of like, it almost seems like it's not integrated. Like you're not really there. You're just like, you're superimposed over all these pretty backgrounds. And they did a good job, but I don't know. I didn't feel like a lot of immersion. But I could imagine with this being on the Rift S,
Mm.
you're going to, and the graphics of PC VR and stuff, it probably felt like you're really in this world a little bit more.
Yeah, and they done, which I think is quite important, and you don't see all the time. And maybe this comes from companies that have a bit of extra budget or backing. It was alive. The environment was alive. Plants moved. Tree trunks sort of shrunk when you got near them. Did I just? I think I did. Uh, Tree trunks sort of, like the world's scared of you. It's alive, and that makes all the difference.
Yeah, very vibrant and bright. So this is one
Yeah.
where, so we should probably have a little bit of excitement for this in 2020 at some point when this finally hits, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I'm really looking forward to this one, see how they go. Hopefully, I don't know if they're going to do it, but in this demo, I don't know if you noticed, if you get the ice arrow, you can split it into swords. Then that was really cool. Like, and someone on Reddit said, "Hold on, is there swords in this game now? Like ice swords? It's on the main thumbnail." They are, but unfortunately, it's like you can use if you use it to block, it's gone. If you hit something with it and it freezes, it's gone. And I was like, guys, I need the sword fix. Don't give me swords that look this good, and like don't let me use them. I need about a good 10 seconds, or I need a little bit of resistance. I need them to have some strength so I can do something with them. And yeah, Jacob got his note out and he wrote it down. So fair play. He was he was interested.
I'm remembering back to playing the Wizards on PlayStation VR, and I remember like you would make a fireball in your hand, right? And then you
Yep.
throw the fireball. And I always felt like the control was a little bit like I didn't feel like I really had control over my fireball. Did you notice any kind of an improvement on this one here compared to that?
Yeah, in the sense that actually it looked like fire. I seem to remember it just looked like a ball, which was the color of fire kind of thing. As that's why in the beginning I was sort of moving my hands around to see if the flames danced. Are they just still? They're moving, they're dancing flames, which is pretty cool. They said like later on you'll be able to put your hands together if you have two balls of fire in both hands and like make a beam of fire and stuff. So it just sounds sick. It sounds really good and it looks fantastic. So yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to this one. Really looking
Cool,
forward to this one.
cool. Yeah, because I was not that hyped for this game. I really wasn't when I heard about the
Mm,
Wizards' Dark Times. But seeing your footage here, like this is definitely climbing up the charts for me. Okay, so let's
nice.
go to the next one. And this is cool that you got an opportunity to try this because Undead Citadel, like when I think about Undead Citadel, I think about the trailers that they originally released for this, which were drop dead gorgeous. I mean,
Yeah.
beautiful trailers, right? And so it got a lot of hype, a lot of excitement. But then after that, like this game kind of fell off the map and like nobody heard anything about it for the longest time. So it's alive and well, and you got to try it here. You're playing it on what is that a Quest or no Rift S probably, right?
That's just the original Rift. This was
Okay.
the 3D rudder booth,
Yeah.
basically. And yeah, so they had the setup there. I actually sat down and played the story mode on the 3D rudder first of all, which is I put that last because what I wanted to do was get the horde mode out of the way, because this shows you the bow and arrow. It shows you a hammer, a sword. You can double impale people. What else was there? There were axes, all the stuff you sort of expect, and there's two-handed weapons. This is still early access, so one of the feedback that I said to him was, it'd be nice if like Gorn, where when you can have one fixed hand, obviously, but the other one, if you could move it up and down a bit, that'd be great because if you're holding a weapon, for me personally, well, it depends what size you are as a person. Your hands are going to be holding stuff different. So, and he said, he'd look at that as well, but it was satisfying. It was a satisfying game to play. It was great looking, like you're saying, and the story mode felt a bit Castlevania-ish when it started. There's like lightning strike comes down, and you see like or the citadel sort of light up and stuff. And I was like, man, this is somewhere I want to explore. And you can go in the houses and stuff. Objects are breakable because it's the first thing I try and do is when I play a demo, I'm like, can I break stuff? Don't show me a cupboard or a drawer or something. And in virtuality, I'm hoping to interact with them. I'm glad to say that you could interact with quite a lot of stuff. And yeah, there's like limb dismemberment. It was good. It was
So
good.
this trailer though, like this is one of the trailers that they had, right? And the way the trailer looks, it's showing like your hands and stuff. So like somebody looks at this trailer, they're thinking, "Holy shit, this is the real game. There's no way it looks too good." You
Yeah.
actually played it like would you say it's like 80% of what the trailer looked like or like how much of a downgrade is the real game from like looking at the trailer that just looks almost too good to be true?
So I'm watching obviously the trailer you're showing at
Yeah.
the moment, and I would say it's 10%, probably not as good looking as that. That it is as near
It's
as you're
pretty
looking.
damn close. Pretty
It
damn
is,
close.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm looking around, I'm thinking you got shadows, you've probably got a few more lighting effects going on than what was at the show. But then, as I said to you, it was running off a laptop. It was running off a big laptop. He hasn't
Oh,
probably
yeah,
got the
yeah.
PC rig and stuff there. So yeah, it looked good. And I remember when I got in it, I was like, wow, this is really good looking. And he was, oh, thank you very much. We haven't, obviously he's probably not had too much feedback. So yeah, it was impressive and one that I think people can safely be interested in. Keep your eye on it. It's I'm not sure how early it is in its life cycle, to be honest with you, but I don't think you're going to see it. I don't think you'll see it this year. By the things he was saying.
Yeah, see, like if you go to like the Steam page and stuff, it says
Oh,
2019.
why have I lost sound?
Oh,
Oh,
hello,
oh, you've
hello.
come back now. You've come back now.
Okay.
Yeah, go.
Um,
Sorry.
it says like on the Steam page, it says like 2019 and stuff, but like we didn't see anything from this game. We didn't hear anything since, they had the trailers a long time ago. And so I start to worry about games after a while, because it's like you haven't heard anything from them in the longest time. Is this really going to make 2019? So probably not. We're probably looking at a 2020 game, right? Now, you see the skeletons, and I don't know if you ever watched any of those old Sinbad movies or like Jason and the Argonauts. Do you remember like way back in the days they had those stop motion skeletons that were so cool? Like what?
Yeah.
And when I see these skeletons, it kind of reminds me of that a little bit. But hopefully there's other things, right? Or I don't know, because it's kind of like these undead skeletons. Like, are there other monsters? Did they say anything about that? Or
They didn't mention any monsters. What they did was in the demo. The one thing I noticed was the enemy types actually had quite a few small changes. Some had like odd bits of armor on. Some looked like they had more skin on. Some looked like skeletons. So that was pretty cool. And then you got the big armored guys as well. And you had to try and figure out. You could either just keep smashing the armor, which takes the health from your weapon, because these weapons can break, which I thought was quite cool. Adds another level of depth, and obviously planning as well, because if you're doing a horde mode, you need to make sure, because technically you could have 4 weapons on you, 2 stacked away, 2 ready, so you try and gather up the best stuff. It was really good. This horde mode, dude, right? I could have kept playing it. Honestly, I don't, because a couple of people came over to me and they said, you're a really active VR player. And I was like, I got into it so much. I really did. Yeah, so it was great. It was really
cool. Yeah, I was looking to see if I had a 3D rudder video, but I don't. How was that? Like I know a lot of PlayStation VR, like it's out, right? Can you buy a 3D rudder now?
Yeah, they sent me one. I've got one with the and also they do something called the ground gripper, which is quite important because
it starts sliding around.
It can do, yeah, depending on your flooring, obviously. They sent me a ground gripper as well. I actually use it all the time, the ground gripper, and I'm pleased to say that they are actually bringing it into production in September. They're going to do a light version, which I believe, please don't quote me on this, $30 to $40 for the light version, and then they're going to do like a deluxe version, which is the one I've got. Is super heavy. So yeah, I mean the light one, they'll probably send me that to check out, which would be pretty cool. But yeah, the rudder's really good. It's got a lot of practical. See, this is the thing. On PlayStation, it makes a lot of sense because you haven't got the thumbsticks. So in certain games, it makes a lot of sense. I find it hard to justify in a game which uses the aim controller, because the aim controller's got the joysticks, which make the aim controller fantastic. But with games with move controllers, it can really bring something. It really can. And I did enjoy this game with the. I do enjoy using the rudder anyway. Just some games, I just particularly don't enjoy using it. I can't explain it.
Hey, wait a minute. So when you were using the rudder on this game, was that the PlayStation VR version of this game, or it was still the PC?
Yeah, it was still the PC. Okay. So it was a PC 3D rudder I was using. They said the PlayStation 1 was having some frame rate issues, so they didn't want to show it basically at the show.
Yeah, I'm curious how they're going to get this running on a base level PlayStation, because it's got to run on the original PlayStation, not just Pro,
Yep.
It's got to be pretty hard for them to do that. Okay, just going back to like Gamescom in general, like just thinking of Gamescom in general and thinking of VR gaming in general. Actually, you know what? I could grab the trailer for the Down the Rabbit Hole, I believe is what it's called. Let me see if I can grab the trailer for that one, because that one was there. And even though we've heard of this game, but we didn't have footage of it. We didn't know what it looked like. And one of the things I've said in looking at this game, I don't know if you had a chance to try this there or if you saw this running there, but one of the things I've said about this game, and this is one of the worries that a lot of my PC VR hardcore guys, this is their worry right here, because I call it the questicle situation, which is basically like PC developers now, they're making a new game and they're like, well, the game's got to run on Quest. And then if it's got to run on Quest, it's got to run, we can get it to work on PlayStation VR. So then what happens is it's like, okay, give me that game, give me a cup of water, let's water it down a little bit so the graphics kind of get scaled back a little bit. Like I'm looking at this footage here and it looks cool. Like it looks kind of like Fisherman's Tale a little bit in some aspects, but it does look like the graphics toned down a wee bit. What do you think about that factor? Like we love the Quest, but at the same time, is the Quest going to kind of hurt PC VR a little bit for at least hurt graphics horrors, if nothing else?
I guess it depends on what it's developed for first, I'd imagine. You know, if it's a Quest game that's being upgraded to PC, it's difficult, isn't it? Because Vader Immortal was one of the ones that when I played on the Quest, everyone was saying, but dude, you got to see it in PC VR. When I played it on PC as well, I actually thought it wasn't too dissimilar. I thought the Quest done a fantastic job. I have played this. It's the next video to be made. The USB is sitting in my PC, funny enough. And it's probably baking hot, actually. I keep forgetting it's there. I thought it looked great. It's hard what you're saying about the graphical thing, because when I met the guys, I think gameplay and story are their main motivations. They want the game to look great, obviously, and it is colourful, it is vibrant, and everything works well. I don't necessarily think sometimes games have to be graphically powerful to be good. I'm not really like that. Gameplay means more to me than graphics. But I know what you're saying. You have got the people out there, like some people, they'll say to me, yeah, when I started doing PC, everyone's like, what specs have you got? What specs have you got? And I was a little bit unsure myself when I bought it. I was like, yeah, this is important stuff to people, you know. Oh, you're going to do a video on your rig. And I didn't do that because the reason I stepped away from PC actually was because I just wanted the ease of console at the time. I just remember that no one likes it when you're playing games on like ultra settings, and then a year later you're on high settings, and then a year later you're on medium settings, and you're thinking, what? Hold on a minute. Like, I could have an Xbox 360 for 7 years, and the games actually get better looking because they're optimized so well. They just get better and better and better and better. So, but yeah, I mean, that's something I can't really worry about personally. Is the game is solid, it looks great, and one of the things about this game is it's called Down the Rabbit Hole. The whole game is you are in the hole, and every time you go through the rooms, it just keeps going and going and going. All of them rooms. The one of the things he said to me, he said he said, even on the Quest, all their rooms will be rendered till you finish the game. So you'll look up and you will see every single room and level you've played, like as you go down the hole.
Oh, that's cool. So at least it's not like drawing it in as you get there. You know, it's already there.
Yeah, I thought it was, when he said that, I was like, man, that's going to be pretty cool. Because I was expecting this to be like Moss, when like in this trailer you see her go over the bridge and go to another section. I was expecting like a loading screen or to go somewhere else, but instead I sort of turned to the right and we're here, and then you go right round, and and even up and down. You're playing in what feels like a tunnel, or a downwards tunnel.
Like the story of Alice in Wonderland, I wonder, is that in the public domain? Like, can anybody make a game that's based on like Alice in Wonderland? Like, I wonder if this developer, Cortopia, like, did they have to like contact the Lewis Carroll family or whatever and like get rights, or is this in the public domain by now?
He mentioned something about that. It basically saying it's so old it's just up for grabs. It was something along those lines, but they didn't want to call it Alice in Wonderland. And I'm pretty sure this is I'm pretty sure this is a prequel of sorts to Alice in Wonderland.
Okay. Because I know King Kong, King Kong is in the public domain, so you could make a movie called Gamertag VR's King Kong, just like Peter Jackson's King Kong and stuff like that, or like War of the Worlds is coming to VR, and that's in the public domain, so you don't have to be like Naughty Dog to get the rights of War of the Worlds. Like, there is stuff that is in the public domain, so maybe that's the case with Alice in Wonderland. Some of the people in chat, like Del Wolfensparger in chat, was saying that, in talking about the graphics, he's saying, well, on different platforms, it's going to have different graphics. And then Gerillo in chat was chat's going a little bit too fast for me, but he's saying both, Gamertag. You want a smart girl or a hot girl, but no, you want both. And I do say this. I do say this to like my kids, like my wife. Like we'll get into this discussion where like, oh no, you want a nice girl, you want a good girl, and you want personality. And I'm like saying, wait, you can have the best of both worlds here. You could have it all. Like, why can't we have games that have incredible graphics? No Man's Sky, incredible graphics, and it's got like all this other stuff going on as well. Yeah. Even if our frame rate doesn't hold up, but
Yeah, man. Yeah, I love checking out the chat. You interact with your chat quite often, don't you?
I do, but when it's an interview show, I'll be honest, and I try to because I want to focus on the interview. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so like a lot of time, like there's too much going on in chat. It's hard for me to like keep up with it when I'm having an interview. So I try to focus on the interview. What about, were you disappointed at all though, just in VR in general, the fact that like Sony, like we talked about Sony, we talked about Ironman VR, don't they need another big game for this fourth quarter for a holiday? Don't they need something else? And we didn't get an announcement that I know of here. Are you a little bit disappointed that there wasn't some like big thing like Assassin's Creed VR or Splinter Cell VR? Like we didn't get a big announcement here.
You're going to hate me. I didn't hear any. I was watching you talk, man, but the sound just kept cutting out. And I know, basically it sounded like you said Iron Man is pretty much the exclusive of this year almost. And there isn't much else to be looking out for.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like our Skype connection. Maybe my kids are like playing Fortnite or something. They're screwing something up.
But I might literally send out a quick text to cut everything off.
It might be on my end. It might be on my end. But yeah. What I was trying to say is I was basically saying we don't have a lot of announcements for VR games that I know of right now, and like Gamescom came and went.
It's done it again.
It's cutting out again? Okay.
Yeah, sorry guys.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be on my end. I don't have my phone to text my kids and tell them, get off the goddamn internet.
Yeah, I'm just like texting everyone. My son's probably in the middle of a heist on Grand Theft Auto, so he's not going to be happy.
Yeah, but, this stuff happens, man. If you got teenagers, like, it is a problem. It really is.
Yeah, she's just put on it. So, yeah, hopefully we'll get to the bottom of it. So I do apologize. Apologies to the chat.
It's okay. We'll work it out. We'll figure it out. But bottom line, so really what I'm saying is, are you a little bit disappointed that there weren't like a big upcoming game like Assassin's Creed, Splinter Cell? Like we didn't get anything at Gamescom, did we?
No, there was nothing. And to be fair, the only game, there was 2 games for PSVR there. One I've never heard of, and I don't think it was official. They were just using the PSVR. I don't know how that was, because I said to them, I didn't have time, but I was like, what game is this? And they said it, and I was like, dude, I've never heard of this. And it didn't look particularly great. But Iron Man was the only one they were pushing for PSVR. But they did have No Man's Sky images everywhere. So I was thinking, are they pushing No Man's Sky VR somewhere? But they weren't. It was just purely Iron Man. As when I went to EGX in last year, done a fantastic job of VR coverage, and PlayStation especially. They had a really good setup, which I think I mentioned in my Iron Man thing. They had it where if you're playing a game, the booth faced outwards. Everyone played a game facing the crowd. And every screen was a social screen facing outwards. So when people, and the other thing is PlayStation is very eye-catching because of the tracking lights and the controllers. When people are playing Beat Saber, Tetris, Blood and Truth was there, people were like, what is this? Beat Saber especially, it was really catching their eye. But Wipeout, I believe, was the actual game that had the most people wanting to play. They were seeing Wipeout, watching someone, and it had been out a good 6 months. They were watching someone in a headset playing Wipeout, and people are like, what the hell is this? This is incredible. Which is great, because I said to them, just out of interest, I was like, what's got the biggest waiting time? Because Astrobot was there, that wasn't released. Blood and Truth was there, unreleased. Tetris, unreleased. And yeah, it was Wipeout.
Yeah, I guess, well, we need to remember that there's a lot of people that don't have VR. And Gamescom, think of how many pancake gamers, I mean, it was like 99% pancake gamers probably, right? That are walking all around Gamescom. And so they might not know there's a Wipeout VR or anything like that. So they're getting exposed to it for the first time. So that's still a good thing. Did you overhear conversations of regular flat gamers like, oh yeah, that's VR, man, forget about that? Or they're like, oh, that's cool, that's VR, let's check this out? Did you hear any of that as you were just walking around?
So I've got a video still to be made of that, a general walk around. I might not have played everything, but I did get some videos of stuff. And there was something called Birdily, which is where you lay. Did you see that at all? Have you seen that
I
yet?
saw Mike from Virtual Reality Oasis playing that. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was one of the things that really caught people's eyes, because it was like a giant rig, and you had to flap your hands, you had a fan in your face, all that stuff, and you know that caught loads of people's attention.
Cool. Okay, well, I guess we could go ahead and back away from like Gamescom and let's just get into some little like origin story stuff. Which this is what I normally do if I have a guest that's on for the first time, is I kind of want to get your background in gaming. And so I like to start before VR. Like let's go back to like 2013, 2014, before VR was a thing. Like what were you playing? Were you like an Xbox guy? Were you a PlayStation guy? Were you a PC guy? And what was the stuff you were playing before you even got into VR?
Well, I can go back really quickly. I was big on the Amiga. I had an Amiga 1200, luckily. I was playing like Amiga, Sega Master System, Mega Drive, SNES. My cousins and theirs used to play that a lot. What else was there? PlayStation, N64. I still remember the first time I saw Mario 64. Absolutely blew my mind. Like, I couldn't believe that. And Turok. But the PlayStation
Turok, yeah.
Yeah, Turok was fantastic, and I just
The
found
Fog.
out.
Remember the Fog on the
Yeah.
Nintendo 64 version? But dude, that shit was a game changer, man.
Yeah,
That shit
yeah,
was
definitely. Yeah, I remember Silent Hill as well. That fog, but they actually made it look like it was part of the game. It was an effect that was meant to be there, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, and then yeah, I love all genres of games pretty much. Never really got into sports games until VR. Actually, I had no interest in apart from playing like ice hockey
FIFA?
games.
What about FIFA?
No, never, not at all. No, I've never been that sort of guy. Madden, all that stuff. Never. Oh, golf. Actually, I like a good golf game, Tiger Woods and stuff. I like all that. But yeah, I just and then big movement for me was probably Xbox Live. That was huge, man. Playing Halo 2.
Gamertag, right?
Just meeting people online was amazing. You know, I just remember it helped me actually quit smoking. Funny enough, online playing games online, it was astounding. You know, and
Hey,
it changed my life. Oh,
real
sorry.
quick before you move on from that, do you remember the early days of Xbox 360? Like when people first got the Xbox 360? Because one thing I always talk about is I think it's similar to what's going on with the Quest right now. I was just mentioning this like yesterday, I think, or maybe the day before, where it's like when everybody got the Xbox 360 and you had like Xbox Live Arcade, people would bounce from game to game to game, and it was like everybody, like everybody would get like Marble Madness Ultra or whatever the different games were, on Xbox Live Arcade.
Uno.
Yeah, everybody would bounce from game to game to game, and there was like that community thing, and it was cool because like you knew everybody was playing the same games, and month to month they kept bouncing, and like all the podcasts would be like, okay, this month everybody's talking about Uno, everybody's talking about Marvel Ultra HD or whatever, all the different stuff.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that on Quest right now. People are bouncing from game to game on Quest, and there's that community, that camaraderie. And that's kind of cool. Like, I kind of miss that a little bit.
Yeah, I think the Quest is also because it comes across as a console. for the first time, and it's so easy. It's just so damn easy to play, and you haven't got to worry about wires, and you can play anywhere. A game I did play, which I'm under NDA for to share, is a game called Acron: Attack of the Squirrels.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know if have you heard of that? You seen that?
Yeah, I heard of it. I heard of it.
Surprisingly, it's actually really, really good, and I was really pleased because what it was, I was with the down the rabbit hole, I was with the down the rabbit hole guys, and they said to me, "What have you got to play next?" I said, "Oh, I'm playing this Acron game." I said, "I don't expect too much, because it's mobile and it's going to be," and they were like, "Man, we've heard laughter in there all day. Can we come in there with you?" And I was like, "Yeah, that'd be brilliant." So we went in there. In the video that will go up, I think the game comes out on August 29th, I'm pretty sure, for $20, I think it is. I played on mobile, and in my video, you will see the capture of my mobile screen, and you'll also see you'll see the capture from the Oculus Rift S, and you'll see the person playing it. So I was dubious, obviously, playing this. This lady in this trailer was there. She put on the headset first of all. She's a giant tree. I love the perspective of that. Like, the squirrels look tiny, and you can pick them up. You can throw them. You got to throw stuff they're trying to nick an acorn. You throw stuff from your tree to get it back. You've got like three powers. One's like a slime that slows them down. One's a massive ball, but it takes a long time to generate back up. And then you've got like little balls, which are harder to throw. But when you're the squirrels, and this is on Oculus Quest as well, which is definitely the headset I'm going to get it on, because then I can play it with my family, because everyone's got a mobile phone. One squirrel's super fast. One squirrel builds bridges, and each of the other characters, apart from the run fast one, if you dig underground, all the other squirrels can use that hole. You've got a big squirrel, which is like the tank guy, and yeah, just the gameplay with it. I'm not sure. I don't know how long you're going to want to play it for. Don't get me wrong, but to jump in for half hour or an hour with friends, this actually might be the game that would do that. It worked, and you can play online with randoms. It doesn't have to be the local multiplayer. So that was one that I really
So wait a
enjoyed.
minute. So if you play online with randoms, though, are they going to be squirrels?
Yeah, they can be. Yeah, I
Okay.
take it it's going to be like someone picks the tree whoever's in the VR headset. I guess it depends what you start it on, what you're playing it on.
So if you, let's say you buy this game, right? So you buy this game, say for your Quest or whatever you happen to buy it for. Then how many phones can you put it on with just the one purchase of buying the game? Like, is the phone app, is that like just a free thing, but like somebody has to have like the real game for it to mean anything? But you could just, like, if I had 7 people here with phones, can they all get in on it? Or I don't know how that works.
I don't want to. I'm scared to be
Yeah.
quoted on prices, but I'm pretty sure it was. I'm sure they said it was going to be an Android, iOS, and it was sort of free on mobile. But I take it you're always going to need a VR player to be the tree.
Yeah. These kinds of things always kind of confuse me a little bit. Like Carly and the Reaper Man. I don't know if you ever heard of that one, but that
No.
was one where somebody had to be in VR, somebody had to be on a controller, or like Covert on the Oculus Go is like somebody's in VR and then somebody's on a phone.
I've
And
played
for
that. Yeah.
me, a lot of times, like, it's like I'm not in a college dorm. I don't got like a lot of people that want to like jump into something. My kids are playing Fortnite. They don't want to get on their phone.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So, and that's why I asked about the online thing. That way, it will get it could have a massive following. There could be loads of people playing this one. I really enjoyed it. I was surprised. I didn't expect to. I even said that to him. I think I said I come in here not expecting to think this was any good, but they were going to tell me how amazing it was, and it actually was very good. Yeah, it was enjoyable.
cool, cool. Okay. Well, going back to the origin
Oh,
thing. So
sorry,
yeah, yeah.
sorry.
No, it's
Yeah,
okay. It's okay. It's
sorry.
good. We will go wherever it takes us, right? But
Yeah.
so like 2014, what were you playing then? Like, were you playing Xbox? Or did you have an Xbox One? Did you get a PlayStation 4? Like when those things launched, did you get either of those, or were you like a PC VR? Not a VR, but a PC gamer.
No, I wasn't a PC gamer. I bought a PC for a lot of money to play Doom 3 and Half-Life 2 eventually that just slowed down. I don't think I even give that away after I don't know 5-7 years or whatever. It just got so slow. And out of the PS1 stuff, I actually bought the Xbox One on day one, because I just loved the titles on it, and I think Titanfall was one of the big games that kept me on there. I love
So,
Titanfall.
were you more of an Xbox guy than Sony? Like, if you had
Yeah,
to put yourself in a camp? Okay.
yeah, I was definitely. I was on it. I was an Xbox Live user for like 11 years, 12 years, and then I think the PS4 was like really getting my attention, mainly for the variety of games. I felt like it was the same stuff happening over and over again. Forza, Gears of War, which I loved Gears of War, don't get me wrong. Like, that was as a very special time in my life, Gears of War. Same as Halo, same as GoldenEye. Games that are online, multiplayer games, they're very special to me. But PS4 seemed to have a lot more exclusives and a lot of different stuff. And then my wife went and got me a PS4, and that was it really. Like, I actually then went to London. So I was getting a bit bored of gaming, to be honest. I was getting
Okay.
a little bit like, I was still hyped for some games. Titanfall was definitely one of the last ones that really, really excited me, because that's like a fantasy. I love mechs and the idea of that. And yeah, and then I saw like in London, they were doing PSVR. They were like basically demoing it in April 2016. I think it came out in October
Yeah, yeah.
2016. Yeah, yeah. And it changed everything. Literally, it just I I didn't really understand what was going on. The first game I tried was Rigs, and in the beginning bit, I was seated in real life, but I looked down and I had a body, and for some reason I thought I could move my arms and legs, but obviously it's not it's not tracking my body at all. I was like, all right, yeah, but this is still amazing. And there's a bit they removed from the game because it made people feel ill, but it actually was one of the things that made me decide to buy it, was where it picked me up. This robot come down, picked me up by my shoulders and put me inside the rig, and then you and the rig go down into like the game.
Yeah.
I experienced vertigo for the first time. Like, I was like, oh my God, this is what I've been waiting for. And then I played London Heist. I was in the van, and I was a big fan of Grand Theft Auto. In Grand Theft Auto, dude, I would have happily just opened a door and rolled down the road. It would have been great. But I was like, there's no way I'm getting out of this van. Shut the door. It was just amazing. It was, and I went on holiday that year, and for those 2 weeks, dude, I was just watching YouTube all the time because I was just hyped. It was like being a kid all over again, being excited for gaming, and that's,
Yeah, well, you mentioned like Mario 64, right? Back in the Nintendo 64 days, and you said you were kind of like not into gaming for a little while, and that's exactly what happened to me because I got an Xbox One, I got a PlayStation 4 like right when they came out, and I tried to get excited for them like right when they
yeah,
first came out, and I started playing the games, and I'm like, you know what? This is the same ass, it's just better graphics. It's the same shit because, like, you went through the 90s of games and you remember getting different, like, Super Nintendo and then a PlayStation and then, Dreamcast. And, like, every time we got one of these systems, it was a giant leap forward.
yeah,
And, like,
arcade.
yeah, you would see it like Mario 64. Like you saw Mario jumping on a tree and you're like, holy shit, it looks like a cartoon.
Yeah,
And then for so many years, the improvements were like you needed a microscope, or I mean you needed a magnifying glass to see what the improvements were. And so you finally got VR, and if you were like me, you're like, yeah, finally, now here's a Mario 64 moment, like when you were in the truck on the freeway for London Heist. That's like a Mario 64 moment.
it was, yeah. And I was big in the arcades, massive. Like, I used to love competing on Street Fighter 2. I still remember the first time I ever played Street Fighter. I picked Zangief. What a mistake! He looked the coolest, but he was obviously the crappiest. Well, one of the crap ones. So yeah, like, I still remember that as well, where a game was in an arcade. There's no way that you'd have something like that in your house. And then all of a sudden, I still remember playing Street Fighter 2 on the Super Nintendo, and I was like, this is incredible. I haven't
Yeah.
got to pay anymore. I've just get the game and I just play it all the time. And that's the same with a Saturn, with Virtual Fighter, all those games that I went specifically to places to play again, and even play against other people was suddenly in your home. So yeah, like Soul Blade on the PlayStation, Soul Calibur on the Dreamcast, and I was a big Dreamcast fan as well. Absolutely loved that. That was superb.
Yeah, but like you would get those new consoles, and there was a huge like you didn't have to look for the jump. It was like bam, you saw the jump immediately, and it
Yeah,
seems like we've hit this like law of diminishing returns, and that's why we need VR. Like this is a whole new thing. Like VR now you're stepping into the game world. Like we still almost need to pinch ourselves every once in a while just to think we're inside a freaking game world. Like there's a ceiling, there's a floor, there's a wall. We're in VR now. Of course, I always make the argument we're not in VR yet. We don't have our bodies in VR.
yeah,
We've got our hands in VR, we got our head. And I really think like if you watch like a sci-fi movie, right, and they like somebody steps through a portal and they go to a different world, well, they step through a portal and their whole body, like they're looking at their body, they're like, whoa, I'm in a freaking new world. And we're
yeah.
not there yet. We still got a ways to go with that.
Yeah, definitely. But as you said, I think that we sound very similar. I think what happened was exactly the same. The wow factor. The wow factor had gone, basically, and you're waiting for it. I was just, I think the big game's still there. I enjoyed Fortnite and stuff, and Call of Duty, and Zombies, but in general, I was a bit like, oh, I'm playing this stuff, but it's not exciting me. And then yeah, VR comes along, and it continues to. There's so many. I'm so lucky that there's so many like jaw-dropping moments I've had. Lone Echo, seeing Oculus Home for the first time, I thought was absolutely fantastic, and that was only 4 or 5 months ago. There's just experience after experience where you're just like, wow, this is great. VR chat, that was unforgettable. I met Kermit the Frog, like the real Kermit the Frog, and I was googling questions for this guy, and he obviously spoke like him perfectly. He knew everything about Kermit the Frog when he first auditioned. Where like from back to the 1950s, he was telling me facts,
God.
and it was crazy, dude. Like, it was crazy, and I've done a VR chat video, and like everyone's saying it's the funniest video. It's not the biggest watch video at all, but it's still one I find funny to watch actually. And just going in there, man, like I met a talking milk carton, and he had the voice of a talking milk carton. I can't explain it. It was just. It's brilliant. It's fantastic. I just love virtual reality. Everything. I love everything about it. It's great.
Do you bounce back and forth between flat games and VR games, or are you pretty much exclusively VR?
Well, yeah. Now I'm covering the three systems. Yeah, pretty much. I don't. What was the last flat game I played properly? Resident Evil 2 would have been the last one, and that I played, and I streamed it, and I probably shouldn't have because I was really tired by the end of it. And yeah, I mean, that was it. I think that's the last flat game I've paid for and played. Yeah.
What if you were but I mean, part of it is you're a YouTube guy. You got to cover, you got to hit this stuff hard. You got to cover it constantly. What if you were just a regular civilian? Like you weren't doing no YouTube anything, you're just a regular Joe Blow. Would you be mixing and matching a lot, or would you be mostly VR still?
It's tough because I'm now also, not only have I got a community, I'm part of a community where a lot of my friends are now VR users. Every day I'm talking to people about VR. We've got a planet in No Man's Sky, Planet GT, and apparently there's coordinates and you can build a base there, and all this stuff is like, it's just, no, I don't know. That's quite a tough one, because I'll tell you the game there's one game I want, and that's The Last of Us 2. That is probably the only game I can think of at the moment, unless they've done another Silent Hill, because I've always followed that series, and I'm gutted that PT never actually came to VR properly. That would have been absolutely fantastic. Yeah, that is about it really. All I can think of at the moment is The Last of Us 2.
Okay, so you got a PlayStation VR. That's how you started, right? So
Yeah.
at one point you just had a PlayStation VR and you didn't have any other VR headsets. How long did that last?
A long time. maybe a year and 2 months, something like that.
Okay, so you were playing Bound, and now I'm trying to think of I'm trying to
Not
think.
Bound.
Dude, Bound is cool. You didn't like
I could
Bound?
not
Oh,
get. No, it was visually it was beautiful, but it's
yeah.
not my type of game. No, I'm. It's actually hard to say what type of gamer I am because VR makes you like games or that you'd never think you'd like. So, but Bound, yeah, my friend said he absolutely loved it. I played it and I didn't really get on with it. I was a bit like, well, I don't really understand what's going on here. It was visually nice, but
You
yeah,
know,
man.
when you had PlayStation VR, and that was the only thing you had for until you got anything else after that. But do you think there's people out there they could just have PlayStation VR and that could hold them over? Like there's enough good stuff on PlayStation VR. There's enough variety, and then there's games like Red Matter and stuff that are ported over to it that look freaking incredible. Like they got 85% of the game squeezed on to PlayStation VR somehow. So do you think somebody could just have a PlayStation VR and they could just be perfectly fine? They could have a great VR life with a lot of good VR games.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd still say the PlayStation's got probably the best exclusive in VR. It's just PC VR's got driving simulators that PSVR is lacking. It's greedy to say you want it all. If you want to experience it all, if you're a VR enthusiast, I'd definitely suggest getting a PSVR. I know some people have got a PlayStation, they haven't got a PSVR. I'd definitely say pick it up because when a game is great on PSVR, it's really good. It's pretty much unmissable. Astrobot, for one, is the best platformer I think in VR. You're showing Blood and Truth now. That's like being part of an amazing 5-hour movie. I just streamed the whole game in one hit. It was absolutely fantastic. I love that game. So yeah, I do. And obviously you've got Resident Evil. There's tons. There's tons of games on PlayStation. The problem with doing what I do is I find it very hard to dedicate the time that some of these games require. You know, like In Death, for example. I've played it a couple of times just to show some updates and stuff. But one of the guys I follow, I just chat to him because he's a really nice guy. He would play that every day for like months. Every day he'd stream just In Death, trying to stay in the top 3 in the world game players. And you know, and like No Man's Sky, that's a game that needs time. It really does. And I can't justify doing that. And I want to play it, but it's tough.
Yeah, the one superpower like we'd all love to have is just the ability to just stop time. You
Oh
know,
man.
so you could just stop time and I could just play No Man's Sky for 5 hours and then restart time up. You know what I mean?
So yeah, that was one of the conversations I have with most people. What are the 3 superpowers you would like? It's one of yours. Time then you'd like to
Oh,
stop time.
absolutely. It's number one for me, I think.
What else?
I mean, invisibility would be nice.
Yeah,
uh,
man, love it.
lots of
Yeah,
things you could do.
I think the top 3. I haven't googled this, but I think it's invisibility, strength, and flight. But yeah, so
Or just like teleport. Like imagine to just be boom. You're like, what was that? There was a movie Jumper. Do you remember that movie Jumper? It
yeah, I
had
do.
the
It had
Anakin guy in it.
yes, yeah,
Yeah. And like you could just like bam, now you're in Paris, bam, now you're on Egypt, you know, and like if you could do that, that'd be sweet. All right.
yeah.
So you had a PlayStation VR and then so like you had it for like a year and a half or so and then you got a Rift. Was that the next one you jumped to?
Yeah, basically, and I've never hit it very. Oculus sent me the Rift,
Oh, okay.
and but I didn't actually own a PC, so I
Oh,
was
wow.
like, oh damn. So yeah, I went and bought a PC, and yeah, it's been incredible. It's an incredible journey. There's so much VR out there on PC. I think the more I used to interview developers. Well, I still interview developers, but I used to interview developers, and I was sort of always wanting to get into PC because a lot of their experiences come from the early days of Oculus. I'm not sure. A lot of people say PlayStation VR is bringing the masses in. I definitely think, it's doing a lot for VR, but I don't think it'd be where it'd be without Oculus because, their store was open. People could just be an indie developer, chuck a game out there. Something like Pixel Ripped probably wouldn't be where it is now. If that wasn't around, they put it out there, people played it and they said, yeah, it's really good. They get an investor, people are interested. So, it's working together. So yeah, this is the game I haven't played actually, Unspoken. I've been meaning to.
You know, when you first got your Rift, right? And you had to get a PC and everything to be able to use it. But like when you first got up and running with it, you had these touch controllers in your hand, right?
Oh,
And
mate.
tell us about the change from going to moves, which I mean, dude, they're doing the best they can,
Oh,
but god damn, that is like going
ah.
from like a freaking like just the crappiest car, and then you just bam a Lamborghini or something.
It was. What's the experience when you're in like the caravan, the Ready Player One thing, where you meet the robot? The First Contact.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was my first VR experience, and I streamed it as well. I'm pretty sure I streamed it, and oh, it was amazing. To feel like you were grabbing something. I still think the touch controls are great. I used the Valve Index knuckles, and I don't know. I wasn't, and maybe because I haven't used the right things with them. Like I haven't tried out Boneworks. I haven't tried out whatever the demo was that come out on Valve. Maybe when you
Yeah.
use yeah, maybe when you use something specifically for that. I basically played I think it was the new Arizona Sunshine DLC with them, and I wasn't overly sold on them still. I was a bit like, nah, I don't know, man. I still like my touch controllers too much. There it is, there, First Contact, wicked. That was
Yeah.
yeah, it was amazing, and it's beautiful. It sounds amazing. It was just such a wow factor, such a wow moment for me.
You
Yeah.
know, what about so when you got this Rift and you started playing Rift stuff, did your PlayStation VR get a lot of dust on it, or were you really bouncing back and forth pretty regularly?
Well, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I'd been streaming and made a community of PSVR gamers, and it was a tough decision. I mean, this isn't my day job, but I didn't want to. It's difficult because in a way, you don't want to show people, like you just said, when you talk about the movie trailers going from a crappy car to a good car. I was worried that people might see me as someone who's trying to do that, like some people, and like you talking about fanboyism, if anyone wants to, if you say something's good and they haven't got it, it's like you're saying what you had was bad. Do you know what
Oh
I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
if I said, "Oh, I really like PCVR," everyone's going to go, "Oh, he's saying he doesn't like PSVR." That isn't the case at all. But I felt like I had to keep defending what I was doing. I like them all. I think they're all good, and they've all got positives and negatives. PCVR, for example, you could be streaming a game one day and the settings aren't right and the shadows don't work and it glitches out and there's all this optimization stuff that obviously isn't done because Sony's Q&A process really forces the developers to get it right. Um, so yeah, that was interesting to come across because in PlayStation everything's pretty much smooth, smooth running. So yeah, and I lost some subscribers, but I also gained some new ones, which is nice. People who are interested in PCVR, therefore you build different relationships, and yeah, with the Quest as well.
That must have
Once
been
again,
hard, actually. What that must have been hard because you were I have this image on the screen right now because it's like you got a PSVR headset, and so like I would see like you would be in chat or something, and I would see your little your Gamertag VR thing, and I would see the PlayStation VR headset, and I just assumed oh, this is a PSVR guy, he's 100% PSVR, you just assume that, right? And you were for a while probably, and then you got your PC, you got your Rift and stuff, and then you got to wonder, yeah, do I abandon that community? Do I just stay the PSVR guy? What do I do here? Do I open myself up to all of them? It's kind of a hard thing to call.
it was really tough. It was tough. I didn't know if I was doing the right thing or not. But then I started thinking to myself, what do I want to do? You know what I mean? What do I want to experience more VR? And I do. I just do. When they say you want to see how deep the rabbit hole goes, I am one of them people. I do want to go that way. Obviously, finance is always an issue when you got a family and a day job and stuff. I try and live a normal life at the same time because you can just get so involved in this stuff. You
Yeah,
can
it could be
really,
a money pit. Like when you get into like graphics cards, 2080 Ti's, and you start going
yeah,
down that rabbit hole, man.
yeah, yeah. Oh, my missus is in the chat. Hey, yeah. So I did, but when I spoke to the guys who put my PC together, I wanted to make sure that I had something that was capable of streaming and making games look good. So yeah, I think I got the RTX 2070.
Oh.
Yeah, a i9 Intel, 32 gig of RAM, and yeah, they just basically told me it was a beefy PC, and when I benchmarked it, it come up as a UFO. It was unbenchmarkable at the time, so I was like, well, that's good, and yeah, and then yeah, sometimes it doesn't matter what game you put on it. You put a game in, like I was saying about optimization, it runs bad, and you're like, how can this be? I've got all this tech and stuff,
Yeah.
but that's the challenge of it. That's part of
So
it.
what about like No Man's Sky, for example? That was the big thing, right? And then everybody's like, here's what you got to do. You got to do you got to lower this to 70%. You got to twitch this. You got to turn this off. MSA, lower it down, da 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 da. And you're not really the PC VR guy, right? Me neither. And so it's like I don't really. I've always said that if like Xbox or PlayStation, if they had the right VR with the right controllers and everything was done right, bye everybody. I'm going because I'll take the simplicity. I will.
Yeah, I haven't actually tried No Man's Sky on PC.
Okay.
I put it out there. I think I've only sunk about 8 to 9 hours in No
Don't
Man's
do
Sky
it.
on
Don't do it then.
PlayStation. I'm not gonna, man, because it was I done a little poll and it was quite close, but pretty much everyone was just like, dude, if you're happy on PlayStation, stay on PlayStation. And yeah, for me, it's awesome. I think it's an incredible achievement that it's on a PlayStation. I really do. It's quite unbelievable. You've got PlayStation Move controllers, which are what, 10 years old or 9 years old or something. I'm not sure how old they are. You got the PlayStation. How old is PS4? I'm not even sure how old that is. But
2014, I think.
right, so and you could get them on eBay for £70. You can buy a PSVR for £120, and you got No Man's Sky I picked up for £8. So that's it's all there. It's all there, and it's not actually that expensive to experience really good VR.
Okay, so here's a question though. We haven't really gotten into Quest, so let's go ahead and get into that really quick. Because what if somebody came to you and said, "Hey man, check this out. I've got."
Sorry, you just cut out a few times there again.
Okay.
It done it earlier, but I lip read.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Just go again. See what happens.
Okay. If you have a buddy that has a PlayStation, but not a Pro, a regular PlayStation, okay? They don't have VR, but they're thinking about, do I get a Quest? Do I get PlayStation?
It's doing it too much. I can't.
Oh,
I need to make sure that everyone is off it.
I wonder.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
I'm trying to Right. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, let's try it again. It must be Skype, like you're saying. It's got to be the Skype connection.
Yeah, it is Skype.
Because visually it's clear, which is quite strange. And normally it takes a visual cut if the sound's going. So yeah, you were saying if I had a PlayStation and I had a Quest and someone had a PlayStation, did you say?
I'm basically saying if somebody has a PlayStation but not a Pro, and they're thinking about getting PlayStation VR or they're thinking about getting a Quest, what do you tell them?
Oh, that's tough. Bloody hell, that's a mess. I don't know, because the Quest is amazing.
Because the controllers, the tracking, wireless. I mean, I think it's a hell of a, it's a hard comparison, right? It's difficult. I think I would recommend the Quest. I think I would. Because think of all the wires for PlayStation. Wires everywhere.
I agree. I think if someone, I mean, you said what you got me on was you said they have a PlayStation. If they had nothing and they said, I want to try VR and I want to get into it, I would always suggest the Quest. For sure. I mean, I was doing it all the time when I was away. I'm sitting next to someone on the train or I'm standing next to someone talking about something. I was demoing Beat Saber 360 in a hallway with the Beat Saber girls. And this guy come along and he was like, oh, can I try this? I've only got PlayStation VR. And he was like, I really want to try this. And yeah, basically I was like straight into my seller pitch. You know what I mean? I'm straight into it because, yeah, the Quest is fantastic. So, yeah, I think if you had if you didn't have a PlayStation or you didn't have anything, the Quest for me is such a great entry into VR for what you get for the cost of it. It just works so well. But
Well,
yeah, I mean, if you,
you played the wands on the Quest, or I mean, you played what am I thinking of? The
Vive.
Wizards, the Wizards,
Oh, the Wizard, sorry, yeah.
or the Wizard. You played that on Quest.
hmm
Have you played it on PlayStation VR? Because like some of these games, the differences is like that, like Red Matter on PlayStation VR, Red Matter on Quest. The difference is like that. Yet, but the Quest, you got proper controls, you've got higher resolution, you do got the comfort. What about comfort? Actually, we haven't talked about comfort yet. What's your thoughts on like playing? Can you play VR for like 3 and 4 hours, or do you only play for like 40 minutes? You got to take it off.
I've done. I basically done a. Oh, it's not fully 24 hours, but I spent 24 hours in VR to raise money for cancer research last year. But because it was only on PlayStation, to change games, you can't keep the stream running because I didn't have a PC. So I was having 10 minutes, quickly changing games, like splashing some water in my eyes, and then go back on. I messed it up basically on the day it was going. It was also my dad's birthday, so I actually stayed up for 39 hours.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I messed it up so much, but we raised like $1,500, which was nice. So yeah, and my Missy GT was putting like drops in my eyes. They were going like crispy. It was pretty mad, but yeah, I can play it for very long periods of time, pretty much. Yeah, and the Quest, the only thing that I still struggle with is the comfort of the Quest, and it's all subjective on, I'd say, actually even your bone structure of your face. I've got quite prominent cheek muscles, sorry, like cheekbones. So when I play it, I have to make sure that, and thank God it's got the tilt, that I have to tilt it so it rests more on my forehead than my face here, because, dude, if I don't do that, it will dig in a lot. So I'm always getting stuff from VR Cover. The last thing they sent me was and I didn't recommend it, was the insert and the like thinner pad, and I didn't get on with it. I don't just put out reviews. If I do something like that, I wait. Like I try and put a good 10 hours into something of wearing it, because materials change over time. They soften and stuff, and yeah, I couldn't recommend it. I recommended the covers, like there's in the materials you put over, because of sweat and stuff. You can chuck them in the washing machine. I recommended them, but I didn't recommend the cover itself. And now we've got the new rear pad. Have you seen that one on the back of it they brought out? Have
Yeah,
you seen?
yeah.
Yeah, so that actually works from what I've played so far. Because in a way, because it sort of takes a lot of pressure on the back of your head, pulls it a bit more onto your face because you're not going to adjust the top. It actually took quite a bit of pressure off the face, and I've got the thicker insert pad, which gets rid of a lot of light. My missus noticed it straight away. She was like, "It's completely black in here now." As before, there was a lot of light leakage. So the current setup as it's sitting over there is actually probably the best I've had it so far with the VR cover stuff on at the moment.
You know, so you were at Gamescom and you got to try a Valve Index, right? So that was your first time trying that? The reason I'm bringing that up is because you know the little speakers that are flopping off to the side?
Yeah.
The sound is so good, and it's like what I want is, here's where I think Oculus is kind of dropping the ball in certain ways, is like, okay, Oculus, you got this great Quest. Now, what is stopping you from having a 99, $100, 99, $100, where I could go to the Oculus website and I can go to accessories, and they've got like a deluxe Quest audio strap with a new, like it's got Halo, like so you can modify your Quest. It comes with built-in audio, kind of like the Valve Index, where it's floating off to the side, and then you've got perfect comfort. Okay, I understand what they're doing here. They got to keep the price down. They designed it the way they did. That's great for mass market, for people that are going to Walmart. They're buying a Quest. That's fine. But why can't I go to the website and buy like a $99 thing and give myself an even better experience? Like, why doesn't Oculus offer that directly?
I actually don't know. A lot of people have mentioned that, because I'm assuming HTC are currently making a lot of money with the workaround that people are buying. They're buying the Vive add-ons that you
Deluxe
buy.
audio strap. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it looks fantastic, but I'm not personally. I haven't got that money to spend on that current setup. But people are out there and they're saying it is the way forward. I'm assuming they're just working on the Quest S or the Quest 2. They put it out there. I
The
thought
Quest
it was,
S.
yeah, I thought it was quite ingenious. Same as I thought the share button on the PlayStation was ingenious because they've just basically put advertising on the PlayStation, like press this button, and you get to advertise our products, and
Yeah.
everyone's like, yeah, I'm going to be a tuber, I'm going to do this. With the Quest as well, like the speakers in the straps, it's just so easy to pass around. That's the idea of it, isn't it? It is the idea of, and from a hygiene perspective as well, you've got nothing in ears. People are worried about stuff like that. Some people don't like shaking hands. So I really liked everything they done with it. It is just the weight. The weight of it currently is a bit of an issue, and I'm just looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing where they go with it. As I said, this rear pad thing. Have you seen it? Do you want me to grab it quickly? Have you
Go ahead.
seen?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Right. So it's
Oh, I
that's
see. Yeah, yeah. How
yeah.
much
So
is
that's
that?
I actually don't know. I only
Oh.
got it yesterday.
Are they selling it, or is that like a prototype?
As far as I know, I'm selling it. I've seen a couple of other tubers have them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
As far as I know, they're struggling to keep up with demand for what they've already got. So I don't know how they're gonna keep up with this stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's really thick here. The only downside for me so far is that my ears are probably quite close to my head or something. I don't know, or they don't stick out. That could be a good thing. But my ears now, where it goes out a little bit more, it sort of touches my ears a little bit as it hasn't before. But apart from that, dude, and the big um, covering here, yeah, it's actually working out really well. I get other people to wear it as well, like my wife and stuff. I say, like, wear this for a little while, see how you get on, see how it fits you. Because as I said, they're the only people's faces I've got to use.
Let me
Because it's
grab
so.
my Quest because I got some stuff on my Quest. I'll show you real quick. Hold on one sec.
Let's go. Let's go. How's everyone doing in the chat? What we got? We got Rendered Reality, Dell. How's it going? Paradise Decay, Jim Hall, Drew, Slay Blaze, Frank, E Ham.
Yeah. Okay. So, have you heard of like Studio Form VR? Like the
No.
guy made, I think it's New Zealand, right? But he's one of my Patreon supporters, and he sent me. It's this thing that you wrap it. Well, you put it on your head, and then basically you just put the Quest on top of it, and then what this does is it takes some of the pressure off the front. And then
Yeah.
there's also these little things where I just have some AA batteries that are in there, some dead,
Yeah.
and it's like a weight. And so it's like what it does is it makes it so that it kind of keeps it back here, and then this takes a little pressure off the top, and it definitely helps. Does it help enough where like I would tell everybody run out there and buy one of these? I don't know. I still feel like we still need something better. And you know what? There is something out there. I could try to find it, but do you know that one of the developers of Red Matter, like one of the guys that works for Vertical Robot, he gave me a link to a Halo thing that you can get for your Quest. It's an aftermarket Halo,
Yeah.
and it
I've got
costs
the
I
guy,
think $69. I'm gonna see if I can find it.
yeah, I've got the guy in my chat actually. I'm hoping to test it out. It looks like the Rift S, doesn't it? Like for the Quest though, like
Yeah.
the Halo strap. Yeah. Yeah, I was really impressed with that.
But yeah, he says it's a dream come true. It's a complete game changer for the Quest, as far as he says. And
Oh,
so I
fantastic.
need to order one of these puppies.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Yeah,
can't
because
find it.
he was on Twitter and he had like stacks and stacks of them in boxes ready to go. Something Panda. Sure, it was
Oh,
something
Panda?
Panda.
Yeah, okay, it might be. I'm trying to search for it now. But yeah, I think it's about 69 or $70 basically, or maybe $60. So it's cheaper than getting like the what do you call it? The Frankenquest, the Vive Deluxe audio strap and all of that.
Yeah, which looks
Uh,
amazing. It does, like the setup looks fantastic. But yeah, the Franken Quest is actually a really good name for it because it
oh,
does
here
look
it is.
like
I
that.
found it. I found it. Okay, so I'm gonna go over to our webinar real quick. Although I haven't. Let's see here. Oh, I'm in the wrong spot. I'm in. Hold on. I gotta.
Ah, it's
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. That's your channel. That's your channel there. I was gonna, tell people to check you out here in a second. But let me go ahead and just add this and paste this in. I was in my other browser. Okay, so there's this website. It's called GoQuestVR.com, and it's about to load in here in a second. But it's this thing right here. See this Halo strap? It's
Yeah.
like a mod that you get, and it's showing it for like $58. But I don't know if this is coming from like Hong Kong or what, you know. But but this is the thing that people are talking about. So it's got like a, yeah, and then you tighten it like that. I don't know. I don't know. It looks kind of flimsy to me.
Mm.
Like that didn't look very good. Okay, so that's the incorrect use, and then here's the
If I,
correct.
oh, I was just gonna say, why put the incorrect use in?
Yeah, because I was like, that did not look very good. It looked like it was flopping all over the place. So
Yeah.
I guess you got to put it on in a very specific kind of way. But one of the developers of Vertical Robot says this thing changes the game for the Quest. But I don't understand. Like, why doesn't Oculus just have an official thing that I can buy? Like, what are they afraid of? You know, like if
I
you
don't
had to
know.
go to the website and you had to buy it from the website, the regular people can do the regular normal thing, but let us go to the website and buy some deluxe audio thing. It improves the audio and it gives you a Halo strap as well.
Yeah, man, I've just lost all sound again.
Ah,
Oh no, it's come back again.
okay.
I can hear it. I can hear it click on and off. I don't know what's going on.
Man,
Yeah.
we're screwed with that.
What the
Okay.
hell is 15 things you didn't know the purpose of? What is that image on the right?
Oh,
That's
I
weird.
don't know. But anyway, you know what? Actually, we've been going for quite a while anyway, so we can probably cut it off. I definitely can bring you back on because we've got a million things we didn't get to. So we could definitely have you. Can you hear me right now?
Yeah, I can hear you,
Oh,
dude. Yeah.
okay, okay. So what I want to do though, before we bounce out of here, let me go ahead and switch back to this thing here, and let me go ahead and hold on a second. NDI. Oh, here it is. Okay, there we go. I'll just bring you on there a little bit like that, real quick.
Yeah.
And what we're gonna do now is let's go to. There we go. That's your channel there. So if you
Oh,
wanted to talk a little bit, because I think there's a lot of people that are VR 365, subs for VR 365, people that check out VR 365, they might not have heard of your channel before somehow, some way. Why don't you talk for a minute about like what you're doing over there in your channel, what your strategy is, the kind of videos you do. I mean, you are popping out videos like a mofo. Like you got a lot of videos, dude.
a lot of people say that. um, I'm very lucky to have a really supportive family with what I do. But God, this is like when you're at an interview and they say, "Tell us about yourself." Yeah, sell it to you. I uh, I want to just support VR, dude. I'm not so much a tech channel, that's for sure. I definitely just love the gaming. I love to have fun. I'm very interactive. That's why I do live streams a lot more than pre-made videos. I do make pre-made videos, but I definitely prefer just being out there, gaming on the fly, talking to people as we go, going through the games. The end goal, I would love to do this for a living, just because I want to put more time into it. It's very hard to keep up with life and this all at once. That's really the only reason. Because even just people I talk to who have YouTube burnout is because they're not seeing friends, they're not seeing family. And you become disconnected with the real world almost. So I try to make sure that I'm not doing that. But also, I love doing this, so it's difficult. But yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you for, just doing this bit as well. I'm humbled, man. I'm really humbled that anyone wants to talk to me about anything. So yeah, cheers.
Oh, no problem at all, man. I love these interviews. I love doing interview shows are awesome for me because it's like I don't got to figure out all these news stories and stuff. I can just have a
Yeah.
conversation with a guy, and so I love it. I love doing these interviews, and I'm always See, the thing is, if you just bring on a random person that you don't know anything about, you just don't know, are they going to like get scared and not talk at all, or like anything can happen. And that's why when I saw you on F Reality, I'm like, oh, yeah, let me get this guy on. He's perfectly fine in front of a microphone. And so there's always that. So I'm always looking for new people I could bring on. So I'm very glad to have you today.
I could tell you the first. I know why I kept doing it is because I liked helping people. Because I think what it was, Doom VFR. But I was actually streaming glitches. I think my first video is me like going through walls in VR that I shouldn't be able to. I found it quite fascinating and quite funny. And then I was playing Doom VFR just with the DualShock because I thought it felt a bit more original, like a classical way of playing it. And I had free locomotion on. And I don't know whether IGN or Eurogamer or someone quite big had said this game's teleport only. I was playing it, and all of a sudden in PlayStation, when you stream, you get the comments actually in the video. And not many people obviously commented on my stuff because no one knew I was doing it. But that particular game, people were coming in and saying, "How are you doing this? How are you doing this?" And I just liked that thing, of going, "Oh, this is how you do this," and just showing different stuff. And it just went from there, dude. Literally, that's why I started.
Sweet, sweet. Okay, well, we'll definitely have to have you back on at some point, and then we can get into a lot of other topics, or even cover a little bit more of your past history and stuff, because we kind of were dominated by Gamescom a little bit. And then also there's like a lot of different questions I could be asking you about, like the future of VR. Is it going to survive? All those like there are so many things we didn't even get into.
Yeah,
So
man.
we could definitely have you back on, but I truly appreciate it. Thanks so much for joining us on this episode. Sorry about the audio problems. We'll get it sorted out next time or something, eventually, right?
It's all good. Yeah, thank you to everyone. Thank you to the chat as well. They've been really nice, haven't they? They've been quite funny reading some of their comments. And when they mentioned GoldenEye earlier, I had to be like, oh man, I want to talk about GoldenEye. But yeah, cool. Thank you. Thank you again.
Okay, GT, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hang up on you in Skype. But we'll talk later, But thanks so much again. Wonderful, awesome. Love having you on. Incredible, great show. Another awesome interview show for me.
Thank you, dude. And I absolutely love your show. Keep it up.
Okay, take it easy. Alrighty. All right, so that is our boy Gamertag VR, and that was awesome. Great interview. Again, I love doing these shows. Interview shows are awesome. It's such a relief to just do an interview show because all I got to do is try to come up with some decent questions and then, let the guy loose and, go off on a tangent, and who knows where it's going to end up. And usually it ends up somewhere pretty good, somewhere pretty interesting. There's always a lot of good stuff to talk about. So that was another great interview show. That, of course, is Gamertag VR. So make sure to bounce over to his channel. Go ahead, subscribe to his channel because there's a lot of great content there. A lot of inside reports from Gamescom. So some good information there in terms of like what he saw with Undead Citadel and all these different games that he was able to check out. So be sure to bounce over to his channel and go ahead and check that out. Now, one thing I did want to remind you guys before we bounce out of here, I did want to remind everybody, let me see if I can grab this and pop it onto the screen, that tomorrow on Twitch, we are going to have our boy Reckoner VR. Gary is going to come onto the program tomorrow on Twitch, 11 a.m. So it's a special time tomorrow, guys. 11 a.m. tomorrow, Reckoner VR. We're going to talk a lot about No Man's Sky. I've actually been playing a regular, normal game of No Man's Sky. I started a regular, normal game, and finally, last night, I actually got off the first planet. So I finally got my spaceship situated. I got the stuff on my spaceship the right way, and I've gotten off the first planet, and I got onto an ice planet, and so I'm exploring this world of No Man's Sky. Just barely got started with it, And of course, Gary, he's been doing it since the very first day, and he's been putting so many hours into No Man's Sky. So I'm sure he's going to talk a lot about performance, about what the game is like in VR. So we're going to get into that in a major way tomorrow, 11 a.m. Pacific time on Twitch. We're going to be twitching it up. I know a lot of you guys like Jim Hall doesn't know what Twitch is. Deli Wolfensparger doesn't know what Twitch is. It's not that complicated. It's pretty easy. Just go to Google and just type Twitch. And then you'll go to Twitch. And then just in the search, put VR365. Bam, that'll take you to our channel. And then you'll find the show tomorrow when we talk with Gary, Reckoner VR, Gary from VR Roundtable. Might talk a little bit about VR Roundtable. Is VR Roundtable dead? Is it going to survive? You know, you got to tune in tomorrow and see what Gary has to say about that. Does he like not being on a show anymore and just having a weekend free to himself? Or will he come back? You know, we might talk to him a little bit about that. We're going to talk No Man's Sky. We're going to talk Oculus Quest. We're going to talk Valve Index. How's the glare, man? How's the glare? What about the Valve Index controllers? Is the Valve Index his daily driver? So we'll be talking about all that kind of stuff tomorrow. So be sure to tune into that at 11 a.m. Pacific time. I look forward to seeing you guys over there if possible. Let's twitch it up. Dude, it is Gary's debut. It's his debut on Twitch. So you guys got to get over there and explode the Twitch channel for Gary's his Twitch debut. All right, well, that's going to go ahead and do it for our show because I am starving. It is 2:17 p.m. Pacific time here in California, and I need to get some food. I am very hungry. My breakfast didn't last long enough. I need more food. So I'm out of here, folks. So I will see everybody tomorrow on Twitch, 11 a.m. Thanks again to Gamertag VR. Really appreciate the conversation. I thought it was a really good conversation. Definitely will have to have him back on again to cover so many more topics. So we'll do that at some point in the future. But that's going to go ahead and do it for this episode. I will see everybody tomorrow on Twitch, 11 a.m. Everybody have a wonderful Saturday. Take it easy. Later.